Do you know how I first discovered you?
How?
So, I actually don't remember if I messaged you or my mum messaged you on Instagram, because I didn't have Instagram at the time. And I messaged the PMDD Project, and then I was like, hi, help me. And you were like, here's my email address. And then we emailed, and then we met on Teams. Do you remember that?
No.
Did I not mean anything to you?
No, I remember being on Teams with you, and that was an iconic moment, but I don't remember the email exchange.
Yeah, do not. We'll have to look
no,
back. We'll look back. Don't worry, I have them printed and framed, but whatever.
I'll sign it for you if you want.
Yeah, thank you. But this is like such a pinch me moment, because I was like, this girl set up a charity for the PMDD, or for PMDD, and I was like, people don't even know what that is where I'm from, so this is unbelievable. But I remember I was in Belfast and I was struggling with this, as we do, and I was like, I better set up a support group. And then I spoke to my therapist at the time. She was like, that's all well and good, people don't actually know what it is. So then I started shouting about it and making, trying to create awareness. And then I was like, right, I'm gonna come up with like a cool Instagram page or something. And I was like, what name could I come up with? And I came up with it all by myself. I didn't ask AI for it. And I was like, ooh, PMDD Project, or the PMDD Project. And I went to make it, and it said name already taken. I was like, what?
Sorry about us.
I was like, what? And then I looked and I was like, oh, it's already been done. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. And then I got in touch and was like, shall we collaborate? And here we are.
So for the listeners, the watchers, because now we get to watch it, because we've made it to a studio, finally. But for those that are listening and watching, obviously I've been hosting the Monthly Truth for however long, and now I'm handing over the reins. Dun, dun,
You're not
dun.
handing them over. There's too much pressure.
I'm
helping.
of handing over the reins. We're sharing the reins.
Yes, please,
because
please.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Katie is now the new host of the Monthly Truth.
We are collaborating.
Co-host, fine. But I'm just so happy that you're going to be the host, because your energy is just the best. You're hilarious, and I just feel like I just adore you. So I can't wait.
Too.
But before you start interrogating people and interviewing people yourself,
yes,
I'm going to interrogate you.
Oh, no.
So tell me firstly about your own journey with PMDD. Talk to me about what you've been through. Where do we start?
Like, what a nightmare. I feel like I've sort of figured it out a little bit recently, and I'm like, oh, is this how everyone's been living for the past forever? This is actually all right. That's all right. But let's rewind about 10-ish years ago. I think I've been saying 10 years for the last 5 years. So it's probably longer than that.
Yeah.
I'm like, for the last decade. But it all kicked off when I went to uni. I was a late bloomer with my period, so my hormonal cycle had only really been in full check for 2 years by the time I got to uni. And I just thought I was really homesick and depressed, but I didn't really miss home that much. I was like, why am I crying all the time? And I would be really down, and then I would come out of it to the extent where I almost seemed a bit manic. But I was just really relieved not to be feeling low, and the cycle went on and on. And my family, understandably, were terrified of this constant calling home, crying my eyes out, almost dropping out of uni and all that kind of stuff. And I went to see the doctor, and I got medication for depression, and it did help a little bit. But then the cycle continued, as you can imagine. In that luteal phase, I'd like burn and crash. And yeah, I feel so bad to everyone who was around me at the time.
At that point, did you recognise the cyclical nature, or
No.
were you just like, I'm just feeling a certain way every now and again?
Yeah. I didn't notice the pattern. I do remember I started tracking like my mood, and writing down, everything I was eating, drinking, doing, saying, all my activities. And then when I moved to London after uni, I think it was my flatmate at the time mentioned, this could be linked to your hormones. And I was like, what a revolutionary idea. And then when we looked into it, it was like almost comical that it was every week before my period, that's when I would have a crash. So then I went to see a gynecologist, and they were like, you have this thing called PMDD. And I was like, what is that? And things started to sort of make sense. But prior to that, I did have a bipolar diagnosis and was even on antipsychotics. Yeah,
tell us about that.
Wild. That was interesting. Obviously, I was just looking for something, wasn't I? And it I didn't last too long on them because they gave me some side effects physically. I had like muscle cramps and then all sorts of weird and wonderful side effects, which is quite a good thing, and you know, blessing in disguise that I came off them, because they're not to be tampered with. You're not to take they're pretty serious drugs. So came off those, and I'm really lucky to have a really supportive group of friends and family who just were constantly looking for answers. And yeah, the PMDD thing, I almost was like, I don't want to go up to my mates and be like, I have this thing called PMDD. They're not going to believe me, mostly because I didn't even believe myself. I was like, what even is this?
And they might not have heard of it anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. So that was ages ago, and I remember the gynecologist I saw in London in Harley Street, probably one of the most expensive places you go. But you know, I love to just throw money at my problems. Don't know about you. So chucked my money there, and I remember I had to see him again a couple of times. And I was really grappling with, I didn't have a lot of money. I was a student teacher living in London, trying to keep up with everyone at the weekend. And I was like, oh no, I can't come back, can't afford it. And then he offered it to me pro bono. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, I can't afford pro bono. And they're like, no, it means it's free. So yeah, like absolute legend. And yeah, then I was put on different treatments, HRT. I looked like a teenage girl who'd just hit puberty. My face broke out in acne. I was bloated beyond belief, but I was actually feeling a lot better. But then I was super constipated. Too much information, don't know.
Never too much information.
And yeah, I couldn't actually cope with the constipation. It was actually really painful, so I had to come off that. And then I got the coil just to see if it could sort of ease the actual period itself. And yeah, I've tried lots of different SSRIs and combination of, you've probably heard of the one where you take it in your luteal and then you stop and stop, start. So yeah, that brings me up to now where I've just recognized that cycle. And I really think the biggest thing that's helped me recently is talking about it and finding a community and people that just get it. Because I think, you know, you sort of just try to mask it for a long period of time. So I've really rambled there.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's
what about you, by the way?
Oh God, what about me?
I know that you're like, this is all about interrogating me, but what about you, Phoebe? What was your story? I don't think I know.
My PMDD story?
Yeah.
Not too dissimilar to you, to be honest. I probably about a decade ago, although I always say
15
a decade
years
as
ago.
well. Like it could be
when we're 50, we'll be like, a decade
10
ago.
years ago when I started my periods. No, like probably 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Or 12 years ago. I first noticed anyway that something just wasn't normal. Like I'd be living with my girl mates, or I'd be like at school with my girlfriends, and I'd be experiencing periods so differently to how other people were. Yeah. Like my whole life would just turn upside down, whereas everyone else was kind of just getting along, having period pains and feeling a bit irritable. My 2 weeks of the month I was feeling like just devastated. Never made that connection to my cycle, but I just knew it was like a regular occurrence where I'd get really irritable, really depressed, so anxious. So then at university in particular, like you, that's when it got really bad. And I suppose my lifestyle was not the healthiest. Drinking, eating, God knows what, just anything I can afford. Just a big one.
Yeah.
So that probably didn't help, but I'd go to the doctors quite a lot and sort of say, you know, I need help, something's not right. And I had many different responses. One of them was that I'm being a bit too dramatic.
You're joking.
Yeah, no, they did.
They said that?
Yeah, I think you're being a bit dramatic.
Help.
So then I just left and was like, oh, God, okay.
Oh, my God, Phoebe.
And then another one, well, a few others said it was PMS. And then one tried to diagnose me with bipolar. And it was because of that, like, drastic change in personality that I was describing. So I understand why they tried to diagnose me with bipolar. But again, I just knew it wasn't bipolar. So then continued sort of just being hyper aware of my mood and my behaviour and my emotions, and noticed that once a month I want to dump my boyfriend and I want to quit uni and I hate all my friends and I can't stand my family, and then I go back to feeling like really
people
good.
watching this who don't have PMDD are like, I feel like that anyway.
Yeah, I want to dump them anyway. Just do it. Dump them. Seriously,
dump them.
Yeah.
Take this as your message. Where's the camera? Dump them.
Dump him. Yeah, so I was relentless with like just tracking everything every single day. And then I think I just discovered me and Mum were like doing loads of research trying to find out what was wrong with me. And then it was only when the suicidal thoughts started. It didn't always have them, but then they started and they got really intense. And once a month, I just didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that's like, when I feel like me, don't get depressed.
You're bubbly and fun.
She tries to be bubbly, she tries to be fun, but then the switch, and for it then to downfall to like, you know, the suicidal thoughts and really desperately not wanting to be here, me and Mum were like, something's got to give. We need to do something about this. So yeah, we just came across it on Google, someone talking about their own personal experience with PMDD. Like you were saying before, that's what really
and
brings
that's
people
why
together.
we need
Definitely
to shout about it constantly.
Exactly. So then I read this blog article and it was like word for word what I've been through. I was like, oh my God, I feel seen, I feel heard. Ran to the doctors, ran to a new GP and was like, I'm not leaving this room until you diagnose me with this. And he was like, I'm not going to lie, I've never heard of PMDD before, but leave this with me. I'm going to go and do some research. And he did. Ran me back the next day and he was like, you've got PMDD.
Give that guy a pay rise.
I think about him all the time. I don't know where he's gone. Like I've switched GP surgeries, but he left before I did and I miss him so much. So if you're listening to this, I love you. He saved me. He did save me.
Our stories and journeys sound really similar. It's almost, and I know that other people with PMDD, you become hyper aware of yourself. And you're like, because you're so desperate to understand yourself, you then do that whole tracking and, you know, minute details. So that's really interesting that you said that. And I definitely read tons of Reddit forums.
Yeah.
And when I read one, I was like, that's me. And I felt so relieved. In fact, the first video a friend of mine sent me was Alicia's and her realizing she had PMDD, and I was like, that's me. Oh my goodness, that is me.
It's so empowering seeing people actually talking about it, because then when you're in a room with people and just having a conversation so freely and openly, and we've spent years just sort of being quiet about it because I don't know, we've kind of been programmed to just shut up and put up with our periods because if you experience them, you're lucky and it's kind of a normal thing to go through. So we don't want to admit that we're really struggling with them. So then when you're in a room full of people who are also experiencing what you're experiencing, it's like, oh my God. Relief, yeah. Massively so. How did it start to feel for you when you did actually start those conversations around PMDD?
It was really scary at first. So I remember I posted, actually, well, we were looking at my Instagram earlier and I did open up about it in 2020 during COVID because, again, I felt even more alone. And I remember having a fairly good response then. I think I dabbled in it. I wasn't quite ready to completely declare what was going on. I don't even think I had a diagnosis at that point. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. It's all a bit blurry. But obviously I've gone fully for it right now in June. And actually just speaking about it has been, as you said, a weight lifted off my shoulders. You mentioned about, you know, the psychological element. I do experience some physical, but I would rather have the physical than the psychological. Yeah. What about you? What other symptoms do you get, or what are your...
Honestly, the exact same. We are one, because when and it's hard to say because for some people the physical symptoms are like obviously debilitating. Yeah. And I do get really bad back pain. I do get, my boobs, I don't have any, but they kill every month. And I'm like, how? You don't have any?
I know,
but anyway,
same.
They somehow show up once a month and they're like, hi, we're still here. But for me, as soon as I get the period pains, I'm like, hallelujah. Because that for me is like, it's about to end. As in my period's about to start and I'm going to feel good again. So as soon as I get those pains, as awful as they are, it is the psychological symptoms that are worse. So I just can't wait for it to just be done. I bleed and I'm like, get the fuck in. It's just the best feeling. It really is. What about you? What are the most significant symptoms for you?
Honestly, all psychological. It's literally just like a wave or a cloud that just, I even know when it's coming. It's like a sixth sense. I feel like Harry Potter. I'm like, it's coming, Limgardio Leviosa. It's on me. I will take the lot, she says. And yeah, it just comes over me and I feel like there's nothing I can do about it. For ages, I was like, is it the weather? Is it
the moon?
Yeah, is it the...
I did Google it every time. I was like, is Mercury in retrograde or is it just me?
And I was like, oh, I'm turning woo-woo. And I'm like, this is so... what the flip is wrong with me, honestly? So, it's the psychological. And I'm like, I have this thought where I'm like, are my friends being paid to hang out with me? It's always a thought. I'm like, my friends hate me. Everyone hates me. And I'm terrible at everything. And there's no point me being here. Like, it's just... It's so tragic. I can laugh. If I don't laugh, I'll cry.
I get that. I so
But
get that.
yeah, now do you know what, the predictability is a godsend. So it's I can sort of track it now, and it's the symptoms aren't as severe. And I think now that I've mentioned it to people, and I think there's that sort of grace period of, okay, you know, I get guilty if I'm a bit snappy, or I get guilty if I'm a bit down. But my family are so good, and they're like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
It's fine that you're going to be like that. So it sounds like your family are really supportive as well.
Definitely. But just being on top of like your cycle as well. I mean, my cycle's really irregular, so I'm on day 36. I'm just gagging to start my period. Yeah, but it is just good to track it, because then you just know, you can plan your week, you can plan your month, like, you know when you need to avoid people because you're going to get snappy and irritable and everyone's going to annoy you.
It's a hard one because, for example, a whole bunch of my friends have been getting married recently, the audacity, but they, you know, it's not like I can see, oh, my Luteal phase is on my best friend's wedding. I used to panic and be like, great, ruined, like that's going to be a terrible weekend. Now I can prepare them and say, hey, look, you know, Luteal's going to be here. I'm sure I'll be fine, but, you know, before we go, can you come round to mine and we'll go together? Or can you tell me, what is it you're wearing? And, you know, like, remind me that I'm meant to be here and that you love me, you know. And I'm like, God, it's like a full-time job that they didn't sign up for. But like, just having that open communication, which I've been really bad at for a long, long time, has been really helpful, because I just isolate and then say, yeah, I'm coming. And then I would bail a lot last minute. I would not be able to end up going to the event because I'm so anxious. But now they know.
See, that's really good. The communication and just having like a nice environment is so important. But have you got like a toolkit of things that work for your luteal phase? Things that at the moment, I mean, they might not work in a few months' time, but right now, what is your go-to for when you're feeling just at the pits?
I love a meme. I love dark humor. Love a bit of dark humor. But I think at the moment I'm loving my arts and crafts. And I like making cards. So honestly, if you need a card made, let me know. I'm making them. Just something therapeutic. And I've always been a bit like rolling my eyes at adult colouring books, but they actually
I love them. I won't hear a bad word about them. I think they're great. Honestly, I do. I'm getting my whole family onto the adult colouring.
They are good. They are good. But I'm a bad PMDD patient. I don't have a toolkit. My toolkit in the past was terrible. I would lock myself in my room, watch Netflix of episodes that I've seen a million times, and eat pizza. So it's all just made it worse. So I'm gonna take your question in a reverse. What about you?
Lock myself in a room and watch Netflix and eat pizza.
We're the same.
No, to be honest, mine is just hibernating and like
what is
avoiding people, because I just know that I'm not going to be able to string a sentence together, and I'm going to be sweating the whole time and just anxious. So it's just a recipe for disaster. So yeah, probably hibernating, but then also making sure I get out of the house, and even if it's for 5 minutes, because movement for me is like really important, just to, I don't know, release the thoughts in my head and make it clearer.
I have started walking in the morning, which has been nice, like a 20-minute stint.
Yeah, makes a huge difference.
They're like, you should get sunlight on your face within the first 20 minutes. And I go outside, it's pitch black. I'm like, yeah, this is working really well for me.
Yeah, that's it. It's not great.
I also bought a mini trampoline. It wasn't so mini, so it's been returned. It lasted a day, had a good bounce, and then it has ended back.
And what's that for?
I don't know.
Just for fun. Okay. Fine. Love that.
Movement. I was like, let's make it fun. I know.
The next podcast can be done just you bouncing on the trampoline.
Okay, great. I just think sometimes when I'm in the pits of Luteal, I'm like, I know, I'll just throw all my money at anything which is going to help me.
Yeah.
And I buy supplements upon supplements and equipment and all sorts. However, in saying that, I did buy the nettle hairband, and we obviously went to the seminar last night by and I need to start reusing it again, because ironically I've forgotten that I own it.
I also wanted to pick your brains a little bit about Belfast, so that's where you're from, obviously, if no one guessed the accent. But just wanted to pick your brains because I know what, you know, the healthcare system is like in England. What's it like in Belfast? Is it different in terms of the support and awareness for PMDD?
So for context, Belfast, I'm nervous about what I'm going to say because I've obviously got a lot of people on my Instagram who are from Belfast, but I'm sure they would agree that we're a little bit behind the times, to put it sort of PG version. But I'd say even saying the word period is a bad word
Really?
a lot of the time. So yeah, actually since starting the page, my goodness, the amount of people who've reached out from Belfast who were like, we need something.
In a positive way.
In a
That's
positive way,
amazing.
yeah. And they're like, I need help, or what do we do, sort of thing. So we're trying to create a support group there eventually. I've actually got like an event coming up in December, Pilates and PMDD chats. So I think, and I'd like to hopefully get as many people who are maybe having issues, not necessarily just PMDD, but menstrual health issues, to come together and network and just, put our heads together. That's what it's all about. Collaborating and sharing ideas and community. It's all
100%.
about community. Yeah, says us who's been isolating for so long.
I know. But you are right,
Rise
though.
up, community.
And what I love about the PMDD project as well is, like, if you are feeling in the pits of luteal, you can just go on Instagram and see all these people that just get it, and you can just message someone because you don't have to see them face to face, and they'll just understand it straight away. Like, exactly. I know if I've, spoken to you before and said, oh, I'm really luteal at the moment, you just get it. And
like,
how
cool,
good does that feel?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good.
I'm like not going to question it, whatever.
And obviously now you're a volunteer at the PMDD Project.
Thank you.
And the key host of the Monthly Truth as well.
Co-host.
Key. Not co. I'll do a little bit. It's fine. But you're mainly going to be the host. So, but yeah, so obviously you're now a huge part of the charity, which is really exciting. I'm buzzing about that. But what, if you could have a particular vision of what you want the charity to achieve, or what you want to achieve, with PMDD, what would it be?
I need to see PMDD rolled out in the NHS as a huge part of society, because it is bigger than we think. I know there's obviously been surveys and there's research, but I think it's way bigger and louder than we realise. And I need doctors and healthcare practitioners to know what it is. And I know that the noise is happening now, and there's conversations, and there's a lot on the radio and news at the moment on endometriosis and PCOS, which is so good to see. And obviously we've had articles in Portugal and Spain, was it, that they've got sick pay and sick leave, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just need to see more of it in the UK. So I would say have it in universities, have it on the curriculum, have it in the curriculum for medical students.
Someone reached out to me recently and was like, oh, they're a medical student with PMDD, and they reached out and they were like, oh, I've just been sat in a lecture, and the lecture, what are they called? Lecturer? The lecturer put a slide on saying PMDD, and she was like, I can't believe it, like, it's not a part of the curriculum, so this is amazing to see. And then the lecturer started going, so post-menopause, and then whatever the other two D's were, but it was so wrong, and she was just sat there like, I can't believe he's actually doing it wrong. Like, if you're going to do it, do it. I don't know which university it was. I don't know.
Well, not bad mouth them then.
But how mad is that? They're not. It's not part of the curriculum, and two, when they do talk about it, they do it incorrectly.
I know. Well, I know you're doing a whole bunch of work with businesses and in healthcare professions. Tell us more about that.
Oh, you're very good at this. So we are training healthcare professionals. So we've started that in the Midlands, and we've done some sessions up north as well, hoping to just do that sort of nationwide.
Yeah.
But the point is, like we mentioned, PMDD isn't part of the curriculum in medical school. So it's quite difficult to get into the curriculum at the moment. So we want to go out there to the experienced, trained professionals, not just GPs, but occupational therapists, nurses, counsellors, and just educate them on what PMDD is, how to recognise it in patients presenting symptoms, and how to support them. So we're continuing to do that, and we're also working with businesses to train them as well, because I don't know about you, but for me, my professional life was a massive struggle, a massive struggle with my PMDD.
I had to go part-time years ago.
Did you? Tell me about that.
Well, it just sort of, because it was happening so often, and then I would have sick days, and I thought, I'm a teacher, I didn't want the kids to suffer from me being absent, and then I would hate for them to see me at work being upset, because sometimes I just couldn't control it. I can control it a lot more now, and I'm really open about it, and I think it's really important to be open, especially with the younger generation, because they actually might experience it themselves, or they might even have a parent or a sister or something with it. So yeah, I actually don't know if a huge amount of people in my workplace know. I feel like I'm living a bit of a double life. It's not just something that comes up very often. I'm good at now controlling and masking it a little bit, but it'd be good not to have to do it all of the time.
Being a teacher must be just so hard with PMDD because you have to be public facing with all these little people looking up at you, just feeling inspired. With me, I get so irritable, and the way I would snap at these kids, kids are so annoying anyway, so I would snap. So how do you do it? How do you mask the PMDD when you're being a teacher?
Do you know, I used to avoid work when I was in my Luteal so much, and I think it made it worse because I would then be at home ruminating and spiraling even more. So it actually helps me to go in, and you know, there's lots of psychology to say that if you even fake smile, then you do start to feel happier. You know, when you lift your head up, your shoulders up, and you smile. Sorry, I seem really creepy there. That can be the thumbnail for this.
Yeah.
Really when happy. You actually smile, you then psychologically start to feel better.
Yeah.
And then I think I am a massive people person, and just being around people helps me. And the amount of steps I get in per day, because you never really sit down, probably helps too. I don't know, but the kids are so unconditionally loving towards you. And they're like, morning, miss, morning, la, la, la. And I'm like, oh, this is nice, actually. And then my mood actually really lifts, or it's a good distraction. So yeah, there are some really tough days, and teachers will relate. You have to find somewhere nice and private to cry if required.
Oh, and you've done that before, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I've had in the past, a few of my past pupils who are now a lot older now on my Instagram, they follow this page, and they are grateful that I'm speaking about it because they have relatives or themselves that have had these struggles, and we spoke about it a lot in the past. But they appreciate the realness of it. Yeah. I think it's, as I said already, I think it's really important to be open with the younger generation and take that stigma away and talk about it.
Absolutely.
From an early age.
I don't know if it's still like this in schools. I think it is in some. One of our trustees has got a child and he's in school, and this was an experience for them where you go to a sex education class and the boys and girls get split up when they start talking about menstrual health, which blows my mind because the boys will have a mum, a sister, a girlfriend, a friend, a colleague in the future who may or may not have PMDD or menopause or whatever. And I just feel like you're so right. With the younger generation, we need to educate them. Young people need to know about menstrual health, women's health as a whole, because we need that language. If you don't have that language, then you can't ask for the right help. You can't give the person, know when to look out for the signs of someone struggling. So how do you manage that with your students?
A good question. I don't directly have much to do with that side of school. But in saying that, you're so right. We need to have those conversations with men as well. I have 3 older brothers, and they're all very open talking to me about this, and having those mature conversations. Actually, I'll not say their name, but at work recently, I had a colleague who was so intrigued and curious about everything that I'm doing, follows my Instagram, and I was so touched by this. He wanted to know, what is this experience like, what helps, and what's your next thing that you're doing. And then another male member of staff came over and he said, listen to what Katie has to say, it's really important because you've got daughters. And I felt really touched by that, actually. And obviously I hosted that run in Belfast. I had a few of my friends bring their boyfriends and husbands down, and there was a bunch of guys around Googling, what is PMDD? And I was like, tear in my eye. Yeah. And it was so nice. So yeah, this isn't, this is sort of my favorite go-to phrase. This isn't a woman's or people with menstruation issue. It's a societal issue. So you need to learn how to support these people, because at the end of the day, it's half the population.
100%.
So yeah,
What advice then would you give to, if a man is watching this, God, imagine if the men are out there, hi, she's single. But what advice would you give to a man listening to this who has got a friend or a partner or a mum who is struggling right now with PMDD?
They're not crazy, and don't use the word crazy.
Oh God, never use the word crazy.
Support them through this. In fact, there are solutions to this. You can work with your period. It's just about finding the right support and the right thing for that person. This isn't a permanent issue. It's something you'll have, but it's something that you can learn to lean into, not work against your period, but work with it. You know, I'm finding a lot of symptomless luteal phases these days,
Wow.
which is really nice. Not to show off or anything.
Yeah,
Sorry,
what the
Phoebe.
hell? Jealous.
I've told you my
She
hat.
says whilst I'm sweating and anxious here. It's fine, don't worry.
But you know, there are ways around it, and with the right language, terminology, support and understanding and patience, you can help your partner, your loved one, your sister, your whoever. So that's my message to the gentlemen out there.
Oh, thank you.
And also, sorry, you said about the single thing, that made me laugh. Sometimes I get nervous.
Sorry, I just outed
almost.
you.
Yeah, cheers for that. You know, for years I've understood why I am, because I haven't put myself out there. Because I know, oh, well, I'll meet someone and then I'll crash and then they'll be like, I'm scared of you. And I'm like, I worried for a while about talking about it online and being so public, because I was like, they're going to think I'm mental. And I'm like, I'm not that bad.
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And now whenever I meet new people, like, they're going to just know about my PMDD. So if they've got me on Instagram, they're going to know about it. And also I don't shut up about it anyway.
I don't shut up about it
But
either.
I do know what you mean. You don't want to let it define you either. And sometimes it can feel like it definitely does define you because it's 2 weeks of the month. But it's just, it's hard to know. But then also at the same time, it is a part of you. There's nothing wrong with that. You didn't ask for it.
That is something I've never wanted to admit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe we should keep that in.
To be fair, agreed. And I do think it is important. Like, when I was single out, that's exactly how I felt.
I couldn't date, still don't really, because I'm like scared that, you know, they'll find out that I'm Shrek once a month. Yeah. I'm like, I turn into freaking Fiona.
But then it's always so much worse for you than it is for them. Like,
I know.
You know?
They're like, you're fine. I'm like, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think I did a podcast recently and I shouted out to my exes. I'm like, fair play to you. Fair play for putting up with it. But I was like, but in the other weeks, I'm worth it, aren't I?
And also, they're not perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair. Good point. Good point. Anyway, should we sign off?
We're going to sign off, but just want to say thank you so much for this podcast. And also, thank you for taking the reins. Here are the reins.
I'm not taking over.
You are. Just thank you so much, and can't wait to see more of you on the podcast.
Can't wait to see more of you in general life.